Lost Art with Andrew Cox, retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. thelostart.podbean.com. Get some merchandise and help support the podcast and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Now on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be a guest, tell your veteran story, discuss your veteran business or organization. Email The Lost Art with Andrew Cox at gmail.com. Andrew Cox, a Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. See the project story at tillvalhallaproject.com. Thanks for tuning in. Please enjoy the podcast that's giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a special guest who's going to tell his story, and we go back a little ways, but we'll get to that here very shortly. If you're enjoying the podcast, go to the website, thelostart.podbean.com. Go check it out. There's a merchandise tab. You can click on that merchandise tab, get you some cool gear, help support us, and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. I also want to give a shout out to the Till Valhalla Project for allowing me to be an ambassador for their organization. They're doing some incredible things. Go to their website, check it out, see what all they're doing, see if there's anything you can do to help them in their mission. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. All right. I have Albert Hernandez here. And we do go back a couple of years, 15 years, and an unexpected meeting. We'll say it that way, you know. But I'll let him tell the story when we get to it. So tell us where you grew up, and then kind of walk us into military service.
Okay. My name is Albert Hernandez. I grew up in a small town, just south of San Antonio, Seguin, Texas. Population 20,000 or so. It's very small. I graduated at Seguin High School. I was a child. I have a sister and brother, and of course, unfortunately, I have a separated mom and dad at that time. I still do actually. But you know what? They tried to do as best they could to be there for me. Mm-hmm. There's always those highs and lows that we always get. But as far as getting the military, I want to say junior year, I was with no plan. I was like, wow, all my friends, they got college scholarships. They're just already planning college. Yeah. I was barely making 70s, barely gonna pass, junior grade. And I don't know what told me or what should I just went up to the Broncos, met the new Broncos recruiting office. And that's where I met my recruiter. His name is Batamar Cantu. I actually have him on TikTok. But he introduced me to the Marines, a DEP program where I enlisted a year early or something like that. I don't know what it was. I committed a year early. So the whole junior year, I already had made my okay, well, I ain't doing nothing in my life. I don't know what to do. I'm jumping from my grandma's house. I'm jumping from my mom's house, back and forth to my friend's house because I'm just a lost person,
Yeah.
And I was always a decent kid. I wasn't bad or nothing. I wasn't in trouble all the time. I just was, I guess, confused.
Yeah.
It was confusing because a lot of people that I saw had moms and dads together, and it was just a little bit harder on me. Mm-hmm. But me and my sister and my other brother, we, stuck it out and we tried our best to adapt. And so when I went to the MEPS program, that's when I started. Well, not MEPS. I don't know what
delayed entry.
Yeah, delayed entry program.
Yeah,
that's when I started training, and I was a scrawny little thing, which this is gonna get interesting in a little bit. So I was a scrawny little thing, skinny but short. And I was, doing their runs and their workouts to get trained for the boot camp. So a year goes, I've been doing this all. A year goes, I graduate, I want to say the first weekend in June, that Friday. That next day, I'm on a plane going to San Diego. And that's where I come in and I meet this guy. Around June 8th, I walk in the yellow steps. I get I get all the way down to my drawers, make that phone call, and that's where I meet this guy and Staff Sergeant Thompson.
Yeah.
And then here comes Staff Sergeant Gomez with his black belt. We're all sitting down, and this guy is yelling in my face. but it this guy, everybody says drill instructors, they have their own opinion. My opinion is they're the ones who made us to this day. God sent them to us to train us, and the structure I didn't have at home, I saw they instilled in me. And I was always scared of this guy because he was so tall and I was short. And let me tell you, when I said I was skinny and short in high school, from that year, I got put on the BCP. I was like a fat Marine. I didn't know how. I didn't know why. I was like, I didn't eat that much from this year to that year, but it's kind of cool. It kind of trained me not to eat what I wanted, I guess. But it was fun times in boot camp, especially with this gentleman right here and Staff Sergeant Gomez, or I don't know what he is at the time now, but
yeah,
and then
he's
Thompson.
an officer. I know.
Oh, he's an officer. That's cool. I have a lot of stories, funny stories at that too.
Well, hey, while we talk about boot camp, what is because I have my memories of that time.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay, yeah.
So that's my perspective, right? But what is your perspective? Because I want to hear kind of from your side, what was it like?
Okay, well, boot camp, I was very scared because
yeah,
I've never flown on a plane before.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one time I went to New York with the kids at theater, but as far as by myself, going to another state, I was terrified. I was like, man, what did I get myself into? I was like, what am I doing? And then I get on the bus and they tell me to put my head down. And so I'm putting my head down and I'm like, I don't know what to expect. And all I know is I just hope I did the right thing. And so that's when boot camp came and I walked off onto the yellow footprints. I was like, man, I'm very scared, very scared. But when I looked around, I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
I wasn't the only one. And boot camp, it was rough. But what made me, in my heart, feel like I could do it is because there was a lot of men in there bragging how they were division football players. They were athletes. They were, track stars. And they're the ones who were quitting, know? And I was like, man, I wasn't nothing in high school. And I'm still here, And so boot camp had its times where it was rough on me, and there was times where there was a lot more times when I enjoyed it, and there was times where I got sent to sick bay to get my tooth pulled, and I was scared. I was like, oh no, I was like, no. So I tried, there was so many times, but just the accomplishment of, going up I can't remember the hill, man. Going up the hill,
the Reaper.
Yeah, doing the Reaper and getting that emblem. It was just, that was what it was about.
Yeah.
Yes. All that hard work and accomplishment. I didn't know at that time that was going to be a start of something good,
Yeah.
All that, burpees and all that learning, sniffing alcohol, what do you call it? The sanitizer to stay awake in the classroom. There was perks to that, and then of course, there was some downfalls, but that was on my accord. There was a time where I was I was labeled as a fat Marine. I don't know what the right wordage was or verbiage was, and I went to the cafeteria knowing I cannot eat the dessert. So me and a couple of the other Marines, we snuck in a donut. I don't know if you remember this, but we snuck in a donut, and I guess you guys found out, and you woke everybody up and made us line up, and y'all were emptying our locker, our foot lockers, and you found the donut, and not mine, but you saw somebody else's donut, and you made us go like 3 a.m. and go get we got burpee the hell out. But you know, it was for the good because I was supposed to be on a diet. I was supposed to be on a diet, but that was not the funniest story I probably remember. The funniest story I probably remember is when I don't know what I did, but you had came up to me and you said, "You're no Oompa," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" I said, "Well, I mean, I didn't say what." In my head, I was like, "What?" And I was like, yes, sir, yes, sir. And you're like, you know what? But I did what I did deserve, and it was funny. So you and Staff Sergeant Thompson at that time, y'all sent me all 3 decks to do the Oompa Loompa dance. So I was doing on each deck, and you know what? I was scared of. There was this drill instructor, and I think it was in 2030 platoon. He was short and Mexican. I was terrified of him. Out of all of y'all, he was the one that I was terrified of. And then Ferguson was another one.
Yeah, Ferguson.
I guess Ferguson because he was a little bit chunky, chunkier than like he was chunkier than you, and he had like big lips, and I was like, I do not want him to spit on me. Man, I was raised Catholic, so when I found out that you could go to church, so I used church and I shouldn't have. But I used church to get out of like, oh, okay, I don't have to get yelled at. So this is my safe spot. Yeah. But man, it was fun. You know, it was fun from the hikes. And, you know, even though you guys, you know, if we messed up, you guys got onto us, you also motivated us. Yeah. Because there was the hikes. I was literally at one point of the hikes, I was holding onto somebody's bags, not crying. And you were like in my ear, like, you can do it. Like, it's just right there, Hernandez. Or you go. And you were motivating me. Thompson was motivating me. I mean, you know, that was 15 years ago. I mean, I don't remember a lot of details because, you know, I've been through some stuff in the military. Yeah. But, you know, you guys were kind of like father figures too, as well. And as not having a father every single day of my life he was there, yes he was, and he was at the boot camp too, but you guys were there to actually uplift us as well. Yeah. I mean it was gonna be fun, you know. The times that I was dozing off in the classes when we're not supposed to, and then you know we tried everything to stay awake with the hand sanitizer. And then I don't know what I did one time. I fell asleep snoring, and me and a couple of the other guys, and we went all across. There was a cross of all the way to where like pull-up bars, and it was in the dirt. And you and Thompson were going because it was one of those important classes. I think it was compasses, if I'm not mistaken. And you know what? And I kind of it wasn't MCT. Yeah, I should have paid attention. Because MCT and compasses, that was worse. Oh yeah, I think this was the class that I fell asleep in. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, but after boot camp, I had never thought I was going to run into one of y'all 3. Yeah, and I was always wishing I would, so I could thank y'all. And I finally did 15 years ago, run into you. Yeah, and then I found Thompson. Yeah. And so I haven't found Gomez, but he's out there. I know. I don't know if I have friends with him on Facebook, but I know he's out there. Yeah, but all 3 of you guys, y'all shaped me into, you know, the man I am now. Yeah, and you guys prepared me for what to expect. Yeah, you know, and so boot camp was fun, and then of course MCT, and then my school. And then what? Okay, so you're going to your MOS school. What was it? I was Supply. Supply? Yeah. And where is that school? That was in North Carolina, Camp Lejeune. Okay. I believe, or Camp Johnson. Camp Johnson. Okay. It was in Camp Johnson. They had, I guess, because my scores were low, so I had to choose between infantry and Supply. Yeah. Just being smarter, man. I was gonna be the smarter man. I know. You know, people are like, wuss. No. I wasn't doing no infantry, that's for sure. Yeah. I was scared already, you know. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna do supply.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and went to supply after MCT. That's when they gave us a job. And Camp Lejeune, I've never been in snow. Let me tell you, that was rough because I was cold and I didn't
it was
know.
wintertime then. Huh?
Yeah, was, I didn't know what snow was. I was pretty good. There's nothing out there. There was nothing, trees. And I was like, what do people do around here? And so, I mean, the school was, I thought the school was fairly easy and I liked it. And then that's when I went from a place that didn't have nothing, trees, to a place that didn't have even more nothing, which was desert, 29 Palms.
Oh, yeah.
So I got signed to first tanks. I didn't know what that meant. So I came home for 2 weeks and, you know, then I prepared to go to the fleet. 29 Palms. Hot.
It is hot.
Hot and stinky. Like it was rough.
I was just talking to somebody and I don't remember who it was within the last couple of days, but we were talking about 29 Palms and specifically Lake Bandini.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's a wonderful experience to run around Lake Bandini and the sewer smell and
it was bad. I mean, we would run right in front of Lake Bandini on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, what are they trying to do to us? But you know, it was sad because when I got married, I was gonna show my wife Pendleton and you know something else. She got to see 29 Palms.
Yeah.
But 29 Palms was really good though. That's where I met a lot of my friends now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when I first met, you know, the first person I walked into, I'm still friends with him. And he lives in Dallas now. And that's when I met all my supply sergeants and corporals. And I didn't know what I was expecting. I didn't think I was going to work Monday, Friday. You know, I was like, oh man, I'm going to work 24/7 or something. I don't know. And so I didn't realize that the military was like daily life.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, this is like daily life. And so I liked it, you know, because I was away from home and I was doing my own thing. So I was proud of myself. Like, I'm doing something with my life. Like,
yeah.
You know, I didn't go to college, but I'm getting paid and I'm serving our country.
Mm-hmm.
Because the main reason I joined was because in my heart, I felt like every man should try to at least try to serve the country. Now, if you tried and you failed, then at least you tried.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt good for a while. And then one of the sergeants came over and said, we're going to go ahead and deploy the first tanks in Afghanistan. And they're like, there's never been tanks in Afghanistan before with the Marines. I'm like, oh, cool. They're like, who wants to volunteer? And I looked around, nobody volunteered. And I was like, I will, I guess. I mean, what do I have to lose? I mean, at that time, I wasn't too much talking to my family as much.
Yeah.
Because I was just on my own.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what do I have to lose? You know, I mean, I know I got family and I know they love me. But I'm like, at that time, I'm like, I mean, I'm not here. If I'm going to be in the military, you know, I might as well just, you know, protect, you know, do what I'm here for. You know,
yeah.
Serve, like actually serve, go to war. And so my sergeant also, his name is Sergeant Parrish. He volunteered as well. So I was a lance corporal at the time and he was a sergeant. And so we're two supply guys. And then there was an IMS clerk. And they're like, okay, you and him are going to stay on base. It was a sergeant and the IMS clerk. And I was like, so what am I going to do? And they're like, they gave me a 249 saw. They're like, you're going to be with platoon. I said, scout platoon? I said, the people who walk by the tanks, they're not on the tanks, but they're going to walk with the tanks. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. So they gave me a 249 saw and a pistol and an M4. And I was like, how am I going to carry? How am I going to carry 3 guns? I was like, and then I found out later that they gave all the short people 249 saws. And that piece of the machine that gun was heavy.
Yeah, it's not light.
It was
sure.
heavy.
Yeah.
And then on top of having the M4 on my shoulder, on right here, and then the pistol, But I mean, it was fun to shoot too, practice.
Yeah.
But I mean, so when I went to, that's when we deployed in January of 2011 to Indahar, I believe, or Helmand Province. We went to Helmand Province. So I went to Leatherneck for a few days, and I was like, oh, if this is what Afghanistan life is like, then that's kind of cool. I can on base get the cafeteria, the Leatherneck cafeteria. No, like, nope, not even a week later. All right, Lance Corporal Hernandez, you're gonna go out with your scout platoon now. I said, where? Like, you're gonna go to Camp Dwyer, and there was another Camp Bob, there was another Bob and Olet, and I was like, so they stuck me, with them. So we ended up for 3 months at a time. I didn't know it was like 2 months at a time. They would send us out, and we would just set up on these little fobs, and we were overwatchers. I didn't know that. So we were overwatchers, and we would clear the way for the tanks. So I didn't know that at the time that we were supposed to go first, clear for the tanks. I found out later on after the first truck got blown up, and I was like, what the hell just happened? My first sergeant came on he goes, hey, buddy, that's what we're here for. I said, we're here to go first, then the tanks. I was like, no way. I was like, oh. So, I mean, a few times, there was like 3 or 4 MRAPs that got hit and blown up. But they were not big, because at that time, that's when they introduced the, I don't know what it was. It like stuck out like a stick with the wheels in front of it. So it went in front of the truck to hit that first.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So that's what they, I forgot what it was called. So they introduced that so it would offset the IEDs. And so I never actually experienced like an IED blast on my truck because we kept switching up.
Yeah.
We kept switching up every day when we go on a route. We went on different routes every single day to wherever we were going. And every few 5 days, somebody got hit.
Wow.
And my truck wasn't one of them. And at that time, I didn't think of it as God's work or, God protected me or, at that time, because I wasn't too heavy into believing in God at that time. I knew he was there. But every few days or so, a truck would get hit or a tank would get hit. And I never knew why. But then they started getting closer because next they were like the truck right in front of my truck would get hit. And I would always get the back blast. And then there was one time we were on a steep hill. I mean, we had that long thing and we moved back and the tank went forward. So as it went forward, the tank blew up, but we were very like inches away from it and it knocked me out. And next thing you know, I'm guarding a tank while they're fixing it. And I just see a lot of people, Hajis, just running around. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who to shoot. I didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
Yeah. And that wasn't the first actual experience of like combat. I think the first experience was when a truck did get blown up and we had to get off and mine detect. I couldn't move. I was frozen. I was frozen because the stories I heard is there were IEDs everywhere. No matter what you saw, like there was a piece of phone, like a toy phone right there. And I was like, man, I don't know where to step because I heard that there's so many stories about taking wrong step. And then my first sergeant said, move, effing move, Hernandez. And I was like, so I took the step and I just took faith and I went and swept what I needed to sweep, got whoever I needed to get out of the truck at that time.
So all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You could text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to put you in contact with somebody that help you out. Remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know this guy cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. With that, thanks one last time for coming on. To all the listeners, stay motivated, change your socks.